mistaken, 420 and 400 about ancient tech. Some really interesting stuff there, and we updated the text. It's 50 crazy stuff, but yeah, stay tuned for the second half of the show. It's on air, online, and on your smart device, so grab an app to listen anywhere or listen at home on a Grace table of digital radio. If you missed Solaris' show, shame on you. Shame on you. I missed it as well. Shame on me. Don't worry about it, because you can access her show on the Freedom Slips archives. It costs about $5 or so a month to access the archives. It's a subscription, of course, and not just her archives, all the archives, all the shows, all the show hosts, including ours. But definitely check out Solaris' show. She published Alien Intelligence recently. Highly recommend that you get your reading gear around that, and just have a bit of a gander. She's got a whole bunch of other stuff as well, but that's the latest one. Really interesting stuff. She's got a whole bunch of psychotronic research as well. If you don't know what that is, look it up, listen to her, and you will see that she's been into this long before it became popular with the rest of the conspiracy field, right? So she's been ahead of the curve on a whole bunch of topics. So yeah, please go ahead and listen to her shows if you can.
But what website is that again, Mickey?
Okay, freedomslips.com. Freedomslips.com. That's where the archives are. Easy to find. It's pretty. Actually, it's a very intuitive site. You know, lots of big letters. You can even use it on your tablet or mobile device. It's pretty friendly that way. As part of what we do here, and we are in Australia, and it's the continent with the longest continual human history that we are aware of, right? As a relatively unbroken line, relatively, and obviously there are breaks, but as far as we know, thousands and thousands of generations of human habitation on this continent, and as such, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land. For me here in beautiful Pemulwuy, that's the Darug people, and for Dave,
it's the Darug people. No, it's the Darkanyung.
They were far spread. And we would like to pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. This is not a gimmick, it's a thing. And history didn't start with Europeans. It's really hard to believe. For a lot of white folk out there. Yeah, I know, right? A lot of the time, places that Europeans went to colonize or trade with or conquer or whatever it might have been, and they like to declare it terra nullia, meaning it's unowned land, nobody's here, as opposed to terra incognita, which means unknown land. Terra nullia was a term that was used to describe a land which no other human beings had a claim on, or at least no civilization, or someone that the British Crown, for the most part, or the Spanish, for that matter, recognized as having been a society or civilization. One of the shining examples of that being completely wrong was New Zealand, because the New Zealanders, they fought back the Maoris, they fought back hard, and it's one of the few examples where you find a colonial power, i.e. Great Britain, going into a treaty agreement with
to
the
negotiate a treaty. Yeah,
absolutely, native inhabitants, right? So obviously the Maoris are very different ethnically and so forth. Yeah, from the Aborigines. So the Australian Aboriginals are completely different peoples. And the Maoris are much more closely related to a lot of the Pacific Island natives as well. That's right. Yeah, exactly, right? Polynesian, Micronesian, it's a whole big thing. But they fought. Yeah, they fought hard. They fought, and they were fearsome warriors. South Africans, believe it or not, the Zulus, fought the British and the Dutch equally hard, but were overwhelmed, obviously, by superior firepower. This was a little bit later in the piece, where the British really brought everything to bear on that, and then later the Dutch immigrants as well. There was not a happy story, but they fought back. So we need to remember. I like to take a second here, Dave. I'd like to take a second to remember that all colonial occupations were opposed by what we would now call terrorist groups, right? And because they were resisting the prevalent order, which whatever colonial power that was in charge, the governors or the pseudo kings that were put in charge of a country. And there's hardly a European nation that is free of guilt, or free from guilt, I should say, in this particular thing.
I mean, it was the start of the time, Mickey.
Well, yes, I'll get it. Let's just look. Let's fall into the goose. Come along, Dave. Let's goose step along here. Come along. Why don't you come along? I'm stealing, of course, from Jerry Seinfeld here when George goes, "Be a come along guy," and Jerry goes to him, "Yeah, George, you would have come. Jerry, come along. Just goose step along." 1938. Let's goose step along. So yeah, no, fair enough. But some of the atrocities are unbelievable, right? They are, and the fundamental problem with most things, there are two fundamental problems. One is people, right? That's one thing, and the other is greed. And when you bring the two together, you're guaranteed a poor outcome. And the reason I'm saying this, and I'm segueing here nicely for you, Dave, is because right now we're caught between a rock and a hard place, in the true sense of the word. So on the one side of the equation, you have health concerns, right? I mean, how do we minimize the number of people that will perish from the current situation, the virus or otherwise? And it's not just the virus that's going to kill you, all the other things around it. You might not get the emergency care you need, you might lose a job, you might lose your livelihood. People are facing real-life dilemmas here, which are all knock-on effects from the virus, not the virus itself. So let's look at this as a whole event. It's an event that is really affecting a lot of people negatively, and a lot of people could die from the event, not directly by dying from this particular disease. Okay, and then on the other side of that equation, you have the economy, and now everybody needs the economy to be functioning, right? Obviously, that's clear. But you ask yourself, why have I been paying taxes, right? Why have I been?
That's a good question.
Why? If the government doesn't look after me in a time of need, what's the point?
That's
and in Australia, I have
very
to say,
clear,
right? Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. So it's a good question, I think, and there's a whole bunch of other things that go around that. The social contract we all have, the civic duties, but also duty of care of the government, etc., etc. Because the government doesn't exist for its own purposes. It only exists to be a caretaker of everything else. Really, that's the government's purpose, to be a caretaker. And taking care means you're caring about everybody. You're making sure everybody's okay, right? That's really the point here. But that's not really happening so much anymore. And so, who's hurting the most though? Are the inconsequentially rich. So the people in the middle that are millionaires, or even scratching, coming toward billionaires, but not really. And they are the people that are running the factories and the businesses that are hurting the most because they can't get their people out there, and they have traditional businesses, so it's hard to work from home, etc., etc. The billionaires, though, like I'm talking about the top of the food chain here, money-wise, right? They're doing really well. In fact, I recently saw a report that the billionaires in the world got a lot richer these last few weeks. And Bezos, he's probably the richest guy right now that we know of, right? He just employed, which is great. I mean, it's great that he did. He employed 75,000 extra people for Amazon services in America. So this is just people working in the warehouse, packing stuff, and so forth. But they're doing well. They're doing good. The middle, not so much. So the middle, right, which is the largest piece of the economy, really, is putting a lot of pressure on governments. We see it here in Australia. We certainly see it in the States. When you got to be blind not to see the pressure that's being put on everybody to reopen the economy. And it's hurting, of course, the little people. But the little people are meant to be taken care of by the government if you pay your taxes and so forth, right? Even if you haven't paid your taxes because you've been unemployed or indigent or whatever, homeless, then the government still has a duty of care because you're a citizen. You are a citizen of that country. So by definition, the government has to take care of you. But well, they don't want to, or they don't have enough money, or whatever it might be, and middle business and big business to some extent is hurting. So they're saying, hey, open up again. We want to make money. And the government says, yeah, we need to open up again. And so it's a very fine balancing act. So all the medical friends I have, all the doctors, in Australia and to some extent in the States as well, they're all keeping their kids at home, especially if they've got like some kind of condition like asthma or whatever, for another month or two, at least another month or two. They're keeping their kids at home. Right? These are people that are in the know. They're actually on the front line. They're wearing these full suits with the face masks, like GPs and
like
hospital workers and such. That are
with a
100%.
blood disorder patient coming in, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. So they're all saying no. Not a good idea. Don't send your kids to school. Don't do it, right? And they're not sending their kids. So just live by example, right? Yeah, no, it's a strain. It's a strain, but if you're in a position where you can stay at home, right? You've got a job that lets you work from home, etc., etc. Count your blessings and keep your kids at home. That's my opinion as a private citizen, right? I'm not espousing any corporate or political agendas here. I'm just giving you life advice. This is what I'm hearing. This is what I think is a good idea. Because in Australia, again, this is for our Australian listeners. Looking around, we are doing phenomenally well as far as the numbers are concerned. At least what we're being told. All right, we're doing phenomenally well. This disease is being managed. We're now talking about extinction, I think it's called, right? And that's that, right? Forget about herd immunity or anything like that. It looks like we can now nip it right where it hurts and make it go away altogether, potentially. But yeah, Dave. So I just want to quickly say that it's really between a rock and a hard place. It's not easy, right? But it's clear that greed is playing a big part here, and you can see the interest groups coming out, and you can see who's best interest at heart.
Yeah, that's right. So you mentioned so many different things through there, and I wanted to unpack some of them. So the first one I think that I wanted to connect with you, Meki, and have our audiences understand what food refugees means. So at the moment, this week we've seen the beginning of what a food refugee is. Now that's someone who can't get food. So Meki and I are preppers. We're prepped. We've got houses full of food. We're good for a certain amount of time. Should there be a problem, but at the moment our supply chains are pretty solid. We know that we've got 6 months of food in storage. Not Meki and I, but our distribution centres have 6 months of food. Even fresh vegetables in nitrogen, to be able to supply us with food. Now we export. Australia's lucky. We export a ton of food out to all the countries, and China used to be one of our greatest customers. However, what's bizarre about this is now around the world we're seeing the fact that people couldn't leave their houses and work. We're seeing dumped pigs. Meki, I saw about 100-meter long photos of pigs higher than a building for about 100 meters that were all due to be taken away and processed. That magical animal, Meki, that couldn't be because there was no transport drivers, there was no people in a factory to receive them and process those meats, and so they're just dumped to rot. Right? That's number one.
Horrendous.
Number two, potatoes. So the potatoes, rather than there being a famine affecting the potatoes themselves, but the potatoes are sitting there. They've been taken out of the ground because the farmer's got the machine that does that. If you haven't seen it, it's awesome with the large conical shaped rotary tools that pluck the potatoes gently out of the ground and put them into the trailer. But they can't get picked up because there's no one to take them anywhere, and they're getting dumped as well. And look, these are bacon and potatoes are they're pretty much on a lot of people. I said just a lot of people's menus. That's sad to see that we're seeing this. But in Australia, we also suffered from another thing, and that is we have seasonal pickers, usually backpackers that travel, the country and take an hourly rate or a quantity rate for picking fruit in this country. And they're not allowed to live anywhere at the moment. They can't go to work.
Correct.
We're seeing vegetables, fruit and vegetables, rotting on the vines or on the trees and on the ground because they weren't able to be harvested. In fact, we're seeing people with corn crops just working it back into the soil because it was ready to be picked and it's not going to go anywhere. So like the GFC, we had a 10-year wait for the repercussions of what the GFC meant when all the things we put in place, that because the recovery never really happened the way we expected it to happen, there was a 10-year wait before the real devastation. This, Meki, with the food You look at the supply chain of food and how long it takes to grow it and distribute it, and process it, whatever there is. We're seeing, like 6 months from now, we're going to see some kinds of foods in shortage. Because we'll have exceeded or exhausted our supplies in our storage. And then there won't be those things. We're going to see a different kind of existence. And because they're seasonal. So there might be a whole season where we're out of particular kinds of food. That's something to come. And mind you, I mean, there's all of those temporary jobs, all the casual workers who aren't doing anything at the moment. They're receiving that extra $5.50 a week subsidy to the unemployment benefit to try and pay for everything that they're doing. But Mackie, I know there's a lot of companies out there where the job keeper in this country, we had two. We had if you became completely unemployed, or the government had a benefit where the company, if it had lost at least 30% of its revenue, to keep the people on board, but to pay them using a subsidy from the government.
What's that's
what it's called,
or something, right?
So that, as long as you were maintained on the books, the business got the money and was able to pay you through that rather than exhausting their own funds and going under. Great product. I really like how much depth they went into with that one. Sadly, though, there's some companies that just didn't make the cut. You only make 20. You only lost 29%. Oh well, you don't get it. I know, right?
Too bad.
And so we're still seeing. I think we're up to 3 million unemployed from this so far. And this is the first day. Yesterday was the first day where we could now go visiting 2 people to someone else's property, someone else's house. So 2 people from one house can go to visit someone else, and that includes children, additional children. So it's going to be a week before they start to soften some of the other restrictions here. But Mackie, we're the trailblazers in this, right? Imagine being in the US. Holy dooly, that's a different kettle of fish. I'm looking at I'll put it on the screen. Mackie can't see the graph, but he's got them in front of himself. America is still shooting up like a skyrocket. It looks like a shuttle launch.
It's bad.
The numbers just keep going up. Australia has completely, we're tapered right off. So we're seeing very few, maybe 20 per day or less nationally as an increase. But there's, there are still people, there's still countries, Mackie, that haven't done social distancing. We can see the successes from it. The stopping of international travel or cross-border travel, that's really important. And there's still some countries, though, that are just spiking. One of those is the Philippines is still going crazy. Denmark, believe it or not, and Serbia. And there's another one, Honduras. Out of all the countries, Tajikistan, Mackie, is another one that's spiking crazy. Not with the same numbers as the US, mind you, I have to say, because the US is, if it's like the Olympic Games medal tally, totally at the top, no one's going to beat it, except maybe Russia, but Russia has probably got this one under more control than, anyone else. There's still no North Korea, Mackie, in the whole last week. We didn't mention it last week. I just want to bring on North Korea for a minute, because the rumors could not be verified that Kim Jong-un had passed away. And now he emerged. He's emerged this week, right?
Well, so they say that he has come out. Well, who knows? But the funny thing is this: I listened and I did a bit of digging. He's got a sister, unacknowledged, by the way, and it's similar when his father wasn't too well. He started seeing him in public with the father, sort of in the background.
And now she's emerged.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now his sister. Yeah, for a little while now, it never acknowledged that she is his sister. We don't know. We know she's married. We don't know who she's married to. Initially, we thought she was his wife. Then we saw his real wife, and that wasn't her. So is she being prepped to take over the reins in case he's not well? Possibly.
Remember, they both studied where, Mickey? Switzerland. Yes.
In Switzerland.
Under assumed names.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. They lived in the North Korean consulate in Switzerland, Geneva, in fact, and went to school. They were escorted
they
to
had
school every
security
day,
living with
escorted
them.
back
Yep.
to the consulate. Oh, up the wazoo.
Look at Becky and I.
So
We're so right on the we're on the button with this one.
On the button. Yeah, so I think it's quite possible
Groomed.
that she's being
that's right.
positioned or prepped. Because the thing is this is the third generation dictatorship, you have to understand, right? It was the grandfather who started it all, then the father, and now him.
It's unlikely it's
the third generation. So this is actually unusual.
Soon.
Well, no, but we haven't had very many of these. I mean, this is like in the olden days when you start establishing a dynasty,
That's
like
right.
in the days of kings and queens, emperors and such, right? And this is sort of like it, right? Well, actually, no, it's completely like it. It's absolutely like it. It is it. So, democracy as an experiment has failed, in my opinion. It has. I mean, I don't know what better form of government there should be. I've got a fair idea. I mean, I should be in charge. That's one thing.
Yeah, well, we have to do is change the rules.
So if you want to vote for me,
I've got my
put me in power.
I've got my finger like the mini-me, like to Austin Powers. What was his name? What was his name?
I should be.
The bad,
Which one?
The bad guy in Austin Powers.
Oh. Bad guy.
Dr. Evil. Yeah,
Dr. Evil.
So, Mackie, that is the rule changes, man, and you're there, right? It's all good. Yeah.
I'm with it. I'm so
It's easy.
No idea. No, but if you want me in charge, please
you know how to
put me in power. I'm happy to take it on. Absolutely. Just a vote. Go fund me.
That's funny. You probably get up.
I know, right?
You probably get up.
But
that's how I'm laughing even more. So, the guy with the eye patch, Mickey, that's me. Right? Number one.
Wonderful.
One. Yes.
You can be eye patch guy. Done. Number two. Yeah, that's right. You're number one. That's right.
Yeah.
You're my number one. But yeah, so sorry, but yeah, it's a declare. Look, you're right, Dave. I think we might be seeing something. And nobody is sick in North Korea.
Yeah, that's
right.
Right? No one, not anyone. There's zero figures. 187 countries now is what it is, and we still haven't seen. I'm just going to put the figures up there. So there's almost 3.5 million worldwide. America has 1.1 million in cases, and so there's all right. So the hydroxychloroquine and the Demenesphere, I don't know the drug name off by heart. There's some really weird outcomes, Meki. There's two people who have recovered from the virus. However, their skin has turned black. Absolutely. And it started leading... I mean black as... yes, black... No, black as in Ugandan. Or from Ghana. Or an African country. No, it's a kidney issue where your kidneys fail, so you've recovered from the virus just fine, but then there's some choices. I mean, your body's got choices to choose from. You don't know which ones you're going to get. So blood clots. So it's actually a blood-borne virus. It goes in through the lungs and then it goes into your bloodstream. It's not just a respiratory illness. And no, that's right. They said that the current information is that your blood has so much virus in it that it goes like a jelly. All right, so blood clots is one, aneurysms is another, heart attacks and strokes. That's when your blood to the brain is deprived. Not only that, but the kidney damage will leave too much iron in your blood, and you turn black. So this is only starting to come out because people have had the virus at some point and been with the virus for some time, and then we're now seeing the later stages of what it looks like to have had the virus. It isn't simply a respiratory. It's not SARS-CoV-2. It is SARS-CoV-2, but it has many more side effects than what was initially predicted. And the other thing is, Meki, there is zero proof now across the entire planet coming from the messaging this morning update. This is your current update as of, what are we, the 3rd of May, 2020. So we're in the 5th month this year of the virus being with us in our respective countries, unless you're from China, and then you had it like since September, I believe, that the early first, patient zero was. And that is that there is no proof that you are ever immune. So this is the thing. This herd immunity that you mentioned, and I agree with the term because it works for other things, and like chicken pox, you have it once and then you're okay later on, but not so much with this. So far, there's zero proof anywhere. There's no case study. There's no one who's shown to have been able to withstand another bout of it. None. So that's pretty bad. Like we're really up there in severity now, right? But our government in Australia has put out an app. Now I've got the app. I'm okay with having the app on my phone, which it uses your location data and Bluetooth. And when it comes in contact with another Bluetooth, then it identifies that person because it sends data between the Bluetooths, and it says who that other person was. And this is for contact tracing abilities. So if you have, because your name and everything is registered with the app, if you yourself become infected with the virus, then your app can notify you if you've come within the presence of someone who has. And it can note it down in the app, and if you happen to get it, then they can see, right? Oh, this is how I got it. It was from here. It was on this date, on this thing, and they get a lot more telemetry, and I think that's really important. But I know a lot of people, Mickey, that are saying, no, the government's spying on us. You know what? They currently know everything else about you that you could possibly even guess at. They probably already know it anyway. Mickey, Google and Apple were approached by the US government, and they said, look, what can you tell us about the people? Oh, we can tell you everything. What do you need? We'll join forces and add our data together, and we've got a complete layout of your whole country. And we can do it. We can do time slides. You can say, where were they? Where are they now? And you can slide it backwards and forwards on a date. What do you want? It's the new normal. What is that thing? What does it even mean? You do, yeah. No. They'll probably push it out. If we got into another state where we started seeing hundreds of new cases a day, it would just get pushed to your phone, and that would be the end of that. No discussion. Mickey, I just want to point this out, right? So the only reason the app exists is so the government doesn't have to give the health department access to anything else. That this is a standalone database based purely for this reason only. However, they don't have the license yet. Did you hear that? They don't have the license to actually access the data yet. It's hilarious. And it's on AWS, apparently. Yeah, hilarious. It's offshore. That's right. Even better. Yeah. So if everyone remembers the Fitbit issue, where that app that could show you tons of telemetry on yourself because you had a Fitbit, and then that database was compromised, and all the underground bases on the planet were revealed, because it just looks like a field. There's nothing there, but there's, you know, people running, you know, walking around and milling about. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Wow, it's just, yeah. How is that even? Gee, it must be a really popular field. You'd imagine with that much foot traffic there'd be paths. No. Yeah. So look, that, I think that's really funny, and because the government already knows, I'd have to say, everything about you. This is as much 1984 as you could possibly ever desire if you were a government. That it's no surprise, Mackie, and I can't see that I don't see any problem with it. I think if you want to keep a log of everywhere you go and everywhere you meet, and just strangers, just walk up to the guy. I just want to, for my contact tracing, I just want to know who you are, and with your phone number, so I can call you if I've got the virus later on. Right? I think it just saves all that problem. Remember that thing, Mackie? We'd ask for it. Create a problem. That's right. Yep. Yeah. Mm. Yep. Yep. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's right. Well, you talked about it, so hey, can I have the first? Mackie, I'm a company and I want to sell stuff. I want to sell things that people talk about, so I want to be the first to sell it to that person. How do I do it? Right? That's it. That's right. My wallet's in the car. So so Mackie, just this afternoon, one of my friends came around. And they said, I said, look, I've got the app. And they said, I don't have the app because they don't trust the government. I said, and then I gave them this argument about, you know, the web data, the location, the purchases, everyone you have contact, all your contact circles, everything you talk about, it's all there. They've got all that anyway. So why stop them having these two pieces which you've already got? Right? They already know all this stuff. But, you know, this is just for the health department to isolate their blah, blah, blah. And as soon as I finished talking about, you know, the Google and Apple, you know, partnership and the US government, my Google Home said, sorry, I can't help with that. And then we all laughed. We all laughed, Mackie. This serious. It was funny. It was like it waited for the natural conclusion of the conversation to have occurred, and went, you know what? Can't help you. Good luck. You're on your own. That's right. And it wasn't like I said, I never said, hey, Google. I never introduced any of that. There was no words together that sounded like that expression. The last thing I had on this today was, this, I have to start. I have to preface this with, normally when I watch media, I can identify the right and the left, and I can see their arguments, but their slant is visible because you find a balance where the true nugget of the story is identified and how they've run their spin on it to make it their audience's product. Because that's really what they're doing. The right-wing people love right-wing media stuff because it's tailored just for them, and they get confirmation bias when they watch it, and it makes them feel all warm and fuzzy. The people on the left do the same thing. I'm not arguing their sales tactics for their media, because they've got to make money on it, right? Because imagine running a news outlet at a loss. That's like the olden days, right? Yeah, like the olden days. Television's yeah, that's right. Not entertainment, newstainment. So in the olden days, say in the 80s, the news itself was cross-subsidized by other programming on television. It itself didn't have advertising, and it wasn't itself self-funded. Now it's totally self-funded, and they've got product placements, and they have live crosses to people in another studio. Crazy. It makes it, you could have just read the story out. Oh, but it makes it more believable when you have someone with their finger on their ear talking from another location. So the right-wing media, which I've never actually liked, and I don't like the extreme left or the extreme right. I'm sort of like in the middle. I prefer to see my news untainted, right? I'm Meki. This week I've found myself leaning towards the right-wing shock jock opinions. It's like a magnet drawing me. It's like pulling me. It's like I feel like a moth to the flame. It's a bright light, and they're talking about, Meki, this is the funniest thing this week, is all of these class actions that are China. Yeah, I know, right? I know. It's just so preposterous that you could get anywhere, right? That's right. Let's just do that. But you have now nations who are spreading the same kind of picture. Australia is. We're not adverse to that ourselves. Our right-wing media is doing the same thing, and they're talking about China being negligent in their controls and in their advice to the rest of the world. The WHO not assisting in the cover-up, and the request of the government, the CCP, to delete records of the virus. This is what is being discussed in our media, not just the conspiracy media. So the conspiracy media have been talking about this for 3 months, at least 3 or 4 months now. No one on the planet believes the numbers from China. It doesn't matter, right? However, they're talking about China suppressing the information, which was the most important, and that was human-to-human transfer of the virus. And the other thing was, the other case that they're claiming that they've got against China was that they allowed people to leave the country and cross the international borders while they'd closed their own borders. All right? Now, asymptomatic also travel was, being contagious while you're not showing any symptoms, which meant reading people's temperatures with those, laser thermometers on the people's foreheads meant nothing. That was useless. That's right. So this is what has been rolled up into a ball, and now is now appearing in all of the, let's call it everyone but China media is now wrapping this up into a ball and saying, you know what, we really do need China to, I sound like Jeff Goldblum, we need for them to do something. And I've got my hands on the table with my fingertips. I'm doing a Jeff Goldblum. If you haven't seen the interview, there's a deep fake interview with George Lucas, Jeff Goldblum. Oh, the guy who played. Oh, never mind. You should look for deep fake and just type those two people in, and that's enough. Tom Cruise is another one that was there, and there's another one. The not Anakin Skywalker, the other one. Obi-Wan Ben Kenobi from episodes 1 and 2. So that's very, very. And the other, no, not Alec Guinness, but the guy who played in episodes 1 and 2. Yeah, and the Iron Man guy, right? So there's a deep fake of that, and it's very funny, and the guy playing Jeff Goldblum does these really cool things. So all of these people are wrapping this up and selling this as an idea to the people, and I don't think there's no backlash. Everyone is actually agreeing with this, and I've not heard anyone say that it's a bad idea. And that's why it leads me to the thought, which this is being propagated from above that level of media and the nations, coming from possibly a new world ordery kind of place where it's going to be us and them, and we're going to cut our borders and not trade with China entirely. The other messaging is that there's going to be some kind of retraction of their assets to the value of, since a class action would certainly fail. There'd be no pursuit of that monetarily. However, to some kind of, I forget the word, starts with rep, but to be able to recover your losses, because this has been so heavy on the stock market, Mackie, on our own national economies. France is in a recession right now. I think they're like the trailblazers. They got their numbers out first. I think we're going to see a very similar thing. A number of countries, even the US, which is still at the beginning of their cycle, but they're not even seeing an easing yet. And they're going to be in this for months if this is the case. And if they're going to start relaxing it, it's going to get even worse. For the US, it's going to be pretty tragic, right? So what is the true outcome? What is this messaging? This is my question, because I said I started leaning into this because it's so bright a light and no one's rejecting it. What if this were the case, and if that was the path people took, how would that look? What would the new world look like as we emerge from this? Overnight, yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. Yep. Gone. Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm. Oh boy. Mm-hmm. Yep. We have that technology too. Yep. Current. That's right. So that's boiled down to the terms of what's called at the moment an immunity pass. Yeah. I was calling it green card because that, I like colours. But yeah. But that simplifies it for cross culturally. You know. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. Yep. Mm. True. I heard today that the things trying to get into shipping containers is so limited because there's not any vessels to take them. Right? But just air freight is something else. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's right. Australia's storing it in US. Yep. Mm-hmm. It's rendered you totally blind, but that's it's okay. You'll be safe. Don't stare at it. Yep. Yep. Mm. Yeah. I've never seen that status either. Mm-hmm. Oh, don't you? Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. That's right. Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you that the first cruise ships that are only going to be local waters only. So you leave with a bunch of people and you come back to the same port. Those little weekenders, well, I'm a cruiser. We do the same things. Mickey, the outcome of cleaning yourself too much can actually render you more susceptible to viruses. I do it too. That's right. Look, use the very short break to donate to the station. Maybe have a toilet break for yourself, and we'll see you after this top of the hour bumper. I realised I was muted. Alright, you're back with David Mackey's Shiny Side Out on freedomslips.com on the #1 listener supporter talk radio on the net. So push the donate button or subscribe to the archives for only $5 US a month. It's only a cup of coffee. If you're new to Shiny Side Out, welcome aboard. This is a tinfoil hat zone, so keep your arms within the vehicle. Turn off your personal reality inverters, and please, no flash photography. We are glad you're on board, and thank you for inviting us into your lives. So follow, subscribe, or otherwise for the appropriate social media platform. We're halfway through, and I've got to click on it before I say it. We're halfway through show number 424. Excellent. And we're talking about excellent. Hang on. Smithers did excellent was excellent. So, I can't help it. It's like my Christopher Walken, Ben, it's good. We're talking about ancient tech. This is part 3 in the series, in the show arc. There's plenty more of these shows to go, because we are let's just say we're on page 11 of 59, and it's gonna take a while to get through it, and that's a good thing, because we're giving you as much information on the topic as possible. And Meki and I have been discussing this, and what we might do is do some edits of our shows to make the short course, so we can make it so it's just continuous in blocks or something. I don't know, to make it maybe more consumable at the moment. So going back to just to wrap it up, to get yourself some great merchandise from the station's website, maybe an EMP proof thumb drive with survival documents, or a seed pack for you survivalists out there, right? Like preppers, you like to have heirloom seeds in the freezer ready to go, ready to plant. But follow the instructions carefully and understand what your customs laws are. If it's coming from the US to your country, be careful that you can import it. We can't import seeds into this country. So, Monsanto probably had something to do with that, Nicky, just to be honest. Because, or Bayer. I don't know, Bayer bought them, didn't it? Bayer bought Monsanto. So, we love the leader. So, Mickey, I reckon there should be a drinking game that when you're listening to Shiny Side Out, how many Simpsons references or sci-fi references there are, and every time you hear one, you can have a drink. Because you've been blasted by now already. Yeah, look, just before we get into the show, I want to say there's an old English show which is no longer being recorded. It's called The Fast Show. And there's a very funny old fellow that's in there. It's a drunk fellow. And he always has these really funny stories. But for the most part, it's inaudible. You can't hear it. He mumbles to himself. And he would say something like, Africa had to marry the leader. And a rather large monkey. Right? Hilarious. And I fell into watching that during the week, and I've been rather reminiscent of the old English comedies of late. And because it's all character based, it's very funny. And the thing, Mickey, that I think I'm maybe the train has left the station, but that I'm really trying to survive this lockdown with the minimal amount of contact that we have with others. It's where do you get your sanity from? Think about this, the way that the world is going in our lockdown and everything. Just to wind out the last hour. How will people be able to avoid, cabin fever or space madness, depending on your like? I think it's going to be a great challenge for everyone. Oh, really? So we're going to see each other? That's funny. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. Yeah. That's right. I know. Well, but wait, losing your job is better than losing your life. And I just want to put it out there that I've lost 3 people that I know now in the last 2 months. It's, I have to say, with the growing death toll, you will eventually be touched by the same experience. It's just the way it goes. Yeah. All right. Excellent. Looking forward to it. Oh, I saw that. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. No, that's right. That's right. He's equally prejudiced against the lower fourth dimension shape shifting lizard people, right? That but how close, Neki? What's the cause? What takes you off social media platforms? Getting too close to the truth, having a large audience, speaking about something that's too close. Maybe I don't know. Hmm. Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. No, not at all. But once again, topics that you know, it just vanished. It wasn't like anyone deleted it, and certainly that no warnings, just gone. Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 And Mickey went offline. Wow. Well, they've taken Mickey out already. So I'm going to get my kids to start my car for sure. Until Mackie comes back, um, something extraordinary in all of this is, honestly, what does it take? What does it take to be deleted from social media? I know that David Icke was talking about the messaging. His messaging was about 5G and the coronavirus being connected together and being purely the cause. I did watch the videos, his last two videos where he was being interviewed about it, and I think it was. I don't necessarily agree because the coronavirus has sprung up in countries where 5G hasn't been deployed yet, and I just have to question. I have to question it myself because I'm not entirely sure. I'm positive that 5G has some health effects which we haven't found yet, and it could be weaponized because it happens to match the same frequencies that military non-lethal weaponry uses. So, if it was emission strength in energy, in kilowatts. However, I'm just saying that it's a little confronting when, as social media platforms conspire to remove someone and someone's voice in what we would expect them to be only purely observers, and they're allowing their platforms to be used for any voice. But once you get that, Mackie, that's the equivalent of book burning, isn't it? Let's see if Mackie's audio is working yet. I'm just going to tell him that there's no audio from him in case his machine or his internet or something is having a bit of conniption. I do want Mackie to finish his point there, though. Yeah, I can't see. I can't see Mackie. Mackie, message me, buddy, if you can hear me. Yeah, I can't hear you at all. Yeah, can't hear you. Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties here. I would suggest, Mackie, if you dropped off the call and came back again. Maybe I can just do that for you. Hang on a second. I'm going to pull Mackie from the call. That's done. I'm going to add Mackie back to the call again. We'll see what happens. I'm in a joke that we can just take this out. We can remove this in post, but of course this is live, so we can't. Let's see what happens. Calling Mackie in. I suppose Mackie's back, and can we hear Mackie? Mackie, you with us? Nope, still can't hear you. So I'd say add and remove and re-add your microphone and check your settings within Skype, because whoever has got you pretty good. It's clearly governmental. That's what it's going to be. Oh, you know, when you're talking about the wrong things, they know. They know. This is the book burning. That's what it's about. Having your information removed. Having a single message. Thank you, JD. Calling it out for what it is when the social media platform decides that they're going to choose what you hear. Despite free speech being what we thought it was, well, it isn't. it isn't a thing, and certainly not anymore. And you know, are we getting more like China in that regard? Is this a thing that's happening? Still can't hear you, Mackie. I can see you messaging me, but I can't hear you at all. And there's no audio coming from you, so I'm just going to check my settings once again to ensure that it didn't happen to magically occur only at my end. Let me have a look, because that's always a bit scary. No, definitely the speakers are the right things here at my end. I recommend that maybe you restart at least Skype and then join back again. Alrighty. Well, it's 15 minutes in. I do want Mickey to have his point, and but what I'll do in the meantime is I'll commence. Yeah, that's right, Mickey. I don't have any. I know, right? You've been silenced, buddy. Silenced, and not by me. It's it looks like something happened with Skype. So I'll drop you from the call once again. Restart your Skype and message me in the chat room. All right. So look, I think I'll stay on this point, and I won't go to the show notes yet. I'll wait for Mickey to come back. With the situation we're in, and we've all been placed into boxes. Zoom is stable, yeah, and it goes through China too, Chinese own. Good luck. If you think Grammarly is a good thing, that every person's text that it's checking, it doesn't work on its own. It's got to be connected online. And when it's connected online, it's able to do all that special checking that it does. And by way of being able to send all of that data, everything anyone's typed in, straight up to its server for examination. They know everything's been typed. That's just, is that crazy, do you think? Crazy that we would just accept it? Well, yeah, it might be great for, doing your proposal at work or, doing a study. But think about that paper you just wrote. Someone else has a copy of it now because you used that product. If you consider that a problem, then I probably wouldn't use it. But this thing, that we're all now in our private little box. We've never been boxed individually before, individually wrapped, like a Marvel plastic figure. That everything we do and all our transactions out of ourselves to anyone else has to go through a layer, and that layer is the government. It's never been like this. Just saying. This is the worst that it could ever be at the moment. Let's see, I'm just going to see if I can bring Mackie back in. I hope he's listening through the website so he can keep up to date with what the current discussion is. It looks like he is online. Just calling him, seeing if it works. Maybe I'll go to his phone. There you go. I just said you were going to go to your phone. Yep. Wow. Yeah. Yep. That's a bit more of a challenge, I think, for the people who did it. So no, that's okay. That's not a problem. All I was saying, Mickey, is that we've never, and sorry for the audience to hear this again, but we've never been so isolated, like a Marvel plastic figure in its presentation box, and we've never been like this. We've never been shrunk down to a wrapper around us where everything that leaves us is metered and controlled, where, you know, a social media platform who states that they're, you know, they don't do this, but they do it, clearly they do it, and they talk to each other, and they conspire to remove certain people and filter the information we see, right? If it, that's right. And boof, that's it. Meki, there's some, in China, there are airstrips, which are military airstrips that have painted camouflaged aprons, so they're not immediately evident from the sky, or from space for that matter. And I sent the website to, I tried to send it in Facebook Messenger to one of my friends, say, hey, look, have a look at this website, and it told me I can't. It said it's restricted. Yeah, and I went, hang on a minute. Yes, that's right. Yep. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But you've got to go back in time using Google Earth Pro. And then one, you've got a timeline, and you can go back a couple of images, then you'll see it in that 2013 or 2014 image. So for everyone, all the audience, it looks like it's a structure 500 meters long at a specific set of coordinates in Antarctica, like maybe nearly 900 kilometers from a coastline, in the middle of nowhere. And at some point the snow revealed it, because the snowfall, you know, the depth of the snow became such that it became exposed. And it's now been recovered over again by more snowfall. So there's so much more probably to discover, but the Americans, you know, created a last strip and anyway, long story. So Becky, the point that I was making before was that in history, we've never been so isolated and monitored, and the information is now being filtered beyond what you would imagine. I thought I could send a message to my friend. I can't. You know. I thought you could talk about David Icke, and you can't. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah. But that box has shrunk. That box has shrunk. In the olden days, Meki and I could stand on a soapbox at a specific location in a park in Sydney and say anything at all that we wanted to interested patrons who decided to stay and listen. You can't do that now. Hey, Eagle Eye, by the way. Yes. And in Sydney, it still exists. You can go there and you can soapbox, but there's very few patrons to listen to you. But you had the ability to do it. And now, this ability that we think we have through this filtered medium that we use, and we love so much because it is... without the internet today, I can't imagine... No, I'm setting it up to fail, right? So, but if we didn't have the internet right now, if there was no internet and it was just all turned off, and we're all in isolation, I don't know how we'd get along. I don't know how we'd be able to cope with that individually in our little pockets. It sounds like I can see you back online. Yep. Okay. Yeah, the sound is great. Yeah. Yep. That's correct. That's exactly where we're at. So, one of the best modern... This we're actually starting the show notes now, guys, all right? So this is Ancient Tech, Part 3, the beginning of Part 3. Ancient architects, millennial-old techniques to build better houses. One of the best modern conveniences is air conditioning, which allows us to cool our homes while warming the planet. Woohoo! Because all you're doing is all it does is transfer heat. That's all it does. So heat transfer. As a species, we are not known for our foresight, but it turns out that the ancients had our cooling technology beat by several millennia. And what's more, they did it efficiently and cleanly, using only normally untreated water instead of the chemicals and witchcraft, not Solaris, Blue Raven, witchcraft that make our modern air conditioners function. In Jaipur, in India, summer temperatures soar to levels that scientists have finally deemed hot enough for you. That's really funny. Is that hot enough for you? Oh yeah, that's hot enough for you. To combat this problem, modern-day architects took inspiration from ancient home cooling methods. In Pearl Academy of Fashion Building, architects installed structures inspired by Baoli, which were nothing more complicated than stairwells filled with water. As the water evaporates in the heat, it cools the air around it, creating an oasis of 20-degree cooler than the flaming wreckage. Very dramatic writing. The Indian government was so impressed with the results, not to mention the price, basically free, and economic impact, well, basically none, that it passed a series of new regulations for its government buildings. India isn't the only country going technologically retro. In North Tyneside in England, £100 million have been forked over to create a green housing for the future. But ironically, the designs of their homes of the future are taking most of the inspiration from the distant past. Developers are looking to incorporate a type of Persian wind power perfected from like 1500 years ago, as well as traditional methods of insulation used by igloos. The central atrium is also another good way of doing it. Yeah, that's right. Hmm. Oh, it isn't? Oh. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. Hey, I've actually messaged David Houcher Childress for a show appearance, and I'd love for him to maybe talk more and elaborate further on that point. It's crazy, crazy that and look, why wasn't that in the history books, Mackie? Why did I learn about this today and the other times the show has been on, in show 5 and 248 and etc. Right? Shut up. The old shut up defense. All right, so Clovis Points, Mackie. This is the next one. So Clovis Points have been dated from 16,000 to 13,000 years ago in Canada and the US during the last days of the Ice Age, and then they disappeared out of their geologic record. They are made primarily from obsidian and were fixed to short staffs, or shafts, that's better, that could be rapidly loaded onto the end of long shafts. Clovis hunters could thus reload quickly and attack prey repeatedly. For the day, they were sophisticated hunting tools and they were traded far and wide. But during the extinction event that occurred roughly 12,500 to 12,900 years ago, the use of Clovis points ends abruptly along with mastodons, horses, camels, ground sloths, and large animals found nowhere else. The end of the last ice age saw a huge meltdown of landlocked glaciers that raised ocean levels by some 400 feet. That's more than 100 meters. Separating the continents and allegedly sinking Atlantis. Mackie, there's another point here to be made also, that there were also not only the mastodons, the horses, the camels and ground sloths and other large fauna, but there were also large predators, and there were lions in North America. Massive, massive lions. So it's the events like this, and every time, Mackie, every time I see that 12,500 years ago point, I'm reminded across the entire globe of what appears to be a tools down event, a large cataclysm. Yep. Ending that technological the systems that they had around, and now all of the things that we're slowly trying to climb back into the seat because it was lost. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Understanding. Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah. Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yep. Do you know what? In World War II, Mackie, they were experimenting with guided weapons by using trained pigeons to peck on the target, and that would direct the guided weapon because it was guided by the pigeon. They would yeah, they painted the target continually in order to get their food as a prize. But it was the ship, for instance, and the weapon was going to fly, and they were taught to land on the ship. So as long as they pecked the ship, it went towards it, and that was it. That was an American idea to train them, and it was there's I think it's called the White Rabbit Project, where they highlighted that in modern times, Mackie, using a trained pigeon to fly a drone by pecking at a computer screen in order to navigate around obstacles, and it did it successfully, proving the technology from World War II. So yeah, just crazy. So like, I looked at, think there's something in that, and I just keep thinking, catch the pigeon, catch the pigeon. So you got to be 50 something to get the joke. So ancient Egyptian ink being used to see through skin. About 5,000 years ago, the Egyptians invented the first man-made pigment, a blue powder creatively called Egyptian blue. They were so proud of it that they slapped it on everything from frescoes and statues to tombs. While the Egyptians figured the stuff just looked pretty, we've discovered that the substance, scientifically known as calcium copper silicate, emits infrared rays when lit with visible light. You may remember those rays from such things as the movie Predator or your remote control. Even more impressively, the pigment might soon be used to let doctors peer inside you, like Ron Jeremy. It's a different thing. Ron Jeremy was in porn. Near infrared radiation is especially skilled in the ways of penetration, and it makes its way through human tissue very efficiently. It's dirt cheap, but mostly composed of copper and calcium, and utilizing it can be as simple as slapping a cartridge into an ink printer. So, long story short, the first pigment we ever figured out 5,000 years ago, and I don't believe the dates are right, Egyptian ink, could soon be used in advanced biomedical engineering. Ancient tech, Mackie. Yep, yep. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So think about this, Mac. You shine, white light, middle spectrum white light at it, and it reflects back infrared. That's the thing. That's the thing. So if you wanted to become warm, you could, sit around something that was in the dimmest of light, and it would radiate heat. There you go. Wow. There's a good use for it. Mm-hmm. 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 Mm. Mm-hmm. So they reckon that they had like 20 million to 50 million people living in the Amazon. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah. Here it goes. Yes. Mm. Wow. Mm. Mm. Yeah. Except except the Amazon basin. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 Mm. That's right. Mm. thinking about the recent LiDAR, my friend, one of my close friends, is working with LiDAR tech, and being able to understand the height of the trees based on the information coming back from LiDAR, crazy, and what's flat, what's water. Knowing what we've found in the Amazon now, with the hundreds and hundreds of cities, it's completely abundant. That would have been amazing to be there at the height of their civilization, but I have to say, how did they succumb and disappear? Was it, a very similar thing to what we're going through, right now, and the poorly named Spanish flu, and now this one that we're going through. So what did it? Maybe alien spaceships came down and collected them all, and they all went. Don't know where they went or how they left. It's a little ambiguous, but look at what. And if we were able to clear all of the Amazon and expose all this, we would be astounded. But it's one of the once again, it's one of those things. We thought in the history books that we've been educated that there's only a few of these things around. It was sparse at best, but it's not true. It was the largest civilization on the planet at the time. Crazy, right? Yeah. So, Greek fire, the mysterious chemical weapon. The Byzantines of the 7th to 12th centuries hurled a mysterious substance at their enemies in naval battle. This liquid, shot through tubes or siphons, burned in water, and could only be extinguished with vinegar, sand, and urine. Doesn't sound pleasant. We still don't know what this chemical weapon was. Known as Greek fire was made of, but the Byzantines guarded the secret jealously, ensuring only a select few knew the secret, and the knowledge was eventually lost altogether. Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead. Wow. Mm-hmm. I think so too. So, how's this one for magical substance? An antidote to all poisons. A so-called universal antidote against all poisons was said to have been developed by King Mithridates, the sixth of Pontus, who reigned from 120 BC to 63 BC, and perfected by Emperor Nero's personal physician. The original formula was lost, explained Adrien Mayer, a folklorist and historian of science at Stanford University, in a 2008 paper titled Greek Fire, Poison Arrows and Scorpion Bombs, Biological and Chemical Warfare in the Ancient World. But ancient historians told us that among its ingredients were opium, chopped vipers, and a combination of small doses of poison and their antidotes. A valuable substance was known as Mithridatum, named for King Mithridates the Sixth. Mayer noted that Sergei Popov, a former top biological weapons researcher in the Soviet Union's massive biopreparat program, who defected to the United States in 1992, was attempting to make a modern-day Mithridatium. Wow. I know. Goodness. So, once again, this whole cycle of time, Meki, and our, sign-waving version of, this technological, civilizations that rise and fall, and we just happen to be on one at the moment, but there was one before us and more likely one before that as well. These are all examples. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're right, that is. Look, stay tuned for a great show from Jer Bear, and stay safe, healthy and alive, obey the government, and we'll see you for show to 425 next week.